You have found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the Pistons reportedly might be. It's weird report that they may be interested
I heard
in Zach
they're
LaVine.
dipping their toe somewhere.
Dipping their toe in the Zach LaVine market. Also, Coby White gets nominated for Player of the Week, even though he did not win. And is Zach LaVine returning sooner than thought? We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Pat, with all that being said, man, hey, Bobby Marks says that the Pistons may be dipping their toe into Zach LaVine, which is a crazy way to word it.
Crazy way to
say
that,
it's like, hey, man, that's the best.
Dipping their toe into Zach LaVine.
All right, Quentin Tarantino, we see what you out here doing, my guy. We see what you out here doing.
Not even into his market, just into Zach LaVine.
Into Zach LaVine. Hey, Zach. You know, it's a great episode.
Crazy.
When you can start it off with Pat laughing like that. But with that said, he laid out reasoning that, with them starting 2-17, that he would not be surprised if they would be willing to give up on one of the younger guys to get a guy that they couldn't get in free agent. XYZ, woulda, coulda, shoulda. People have now taken this to run with it to say the Pistons are interested in Zach LaVine, when it's really just speculative. But with that said, with the speculation now out there, Pat, what do you think about if the Pistons were to get interested in Zach LaVine?
I talked about this over on the Breeze, right? First off, don't dip your toe into people.
This is weird, man.
Side note, what's Zion gonna do if he wins that $500,000? What's he gonna use that money for? He got money. What's he using that $500K for? That's the real question in the play.
You got to hit the Zion alarm because they gonna be listening.
Zion Williamson and porn stars.
I have a high
feeling he lands in Vegas.
Yeah, for sure.
Second he lands in Vegas, OnlyFans notifications going off left and right. No, but I said this on my video on the Breeze, right? That to me, the Pistons actually make sense for a Zach LaVine trade destination. Again, very similar reasoning for the Charlotte Hornets, right? Who's going there? Nobody's signing there. Nobody's going to be signing in Detroit. Detroit has to be good first before people start saying, I'm going to go to Detroit.
I think also, though, it's a little bit different from Detroit and Charlotte, just in the sense that Detroit's way farther off than Charlotte. At least they got LaMelo, right? Like, Detroit's not even remotely close.
Are they further off, though? Not really. Cade's like, over his last 10 games, like 25 points a game, 12 rebounds. Like,
yeah, but LaMelo's done that over multiple seasons. Like, I mean,
Cade ain't been here but 2 years, and he lost his leg in one of them.
Not he lost his leg.
It basically was like, we're gonna put a new leg on him. We got Lonzo's knee. Oh God. But no, at the end of the day, I just I look at the Pistons as a possible trade destination because of how much they've invested. Right. I think that goes into it. People got to think about the fact that they brought Monty Williams in there and basically gave him the "you're here for life" contract. They gave him that.
I didn't think about that aspect. That's
what I mean. So you're going to want to have players there. They may also look at it and say, well, Monty Williams went over there with Devin Booker, and then all of a sudden Devin Booker turned into this level of player with having a point guard in Chris Paul be there to help him become that next level guy. We trade for Zach LaVine. We pair him up next to somebody who plays a very similar game to what Lonzo Ball can do, and Cade Cunningham, who's growing
you think
up.
Lonzo Ball similar to Cade Cunningham?
I think Cade gets out on the break really well. He plays defense well. He pushes the ball ahead, and he can score. He's actually a better scorer than Lonzo.
Yeah, but he's not. But I think Lonzo, being more of a shooter than a scorer, actually played to why Zach and Lonzo work so well together. Cade is somebody who does need the ball in their hands quite a bit.
Yeah, but I think the fact that you have somebody that legitimately can facilitate the ball to Zach LaVine, get him involved in the game, right? Like that's the part with Zach that we've missed. Yes, Lonzo being a shooter helps him it helped the Bulls more so I think than it helped Zach specifically. But having somebody who could find him on the break on a consistent basis, right? The Cade numbers offensively that we're seeing right now are because everyone else sucks. Why is Cade putting up 25 points in the last few games? Because no one else can score the basketball outside of him up there. You know what I mean? Like, so for me,
Jaden Ivey could, but for some reason, Monty's looked at him and said, "Hey."
Every time Monty Williams shows up in the city, he just lands and he's like, "Oh, y'all signing me? Okay, cool. Let me look at the roster here. That guy right there, hate him. Like, every city he goes to, he hates somebody new. But no, I just look at like, you know, I look at Cade Cunningham as somebody who I think could accentuate Zach LaVine's game, and I think because of that, they'd be very interested in bringing in a Zach LaVine, and because Zach LaVine kind of still, I mean, their timeline is much further back, but Zach LaVine still kind of fits in with that because, you know, he's kind of just entering the years that should be his prime years. Okay, here we go.
Is their timeline further back than Chris Middleton's hairline? That's the biggest question here.
I mean, I think at this point, their timeline is Derek White's bald head. Like, I mean, it just doesn't exist right now. There isn't a timeline.
Shout out to Derek White for actually going bald, though. He needed to embrace that.
Listen, here's the tough part. I'm not gonna lie to you. Neither looks good. Neither looks good. He looked like Eustace Baggs, bro. He looked like Eustace Baggs with a beard, bro. Like, he looked bad, bro. That's tough. You imagine shaving your hair to say this is gonna help me, and it don't. It's a tough life to live, brother. Yeah, literally, bro. You can't tell me he don't look like her.
That's oddly accurate. That's all I can say to that. That's oddly accurate. I guess I look at this situation with Detroit too and say, all right, bet. So what are they sending back? We assume Jaden Ivey because, you know, it seems like Monty Williams doesn't want to prioritize him in the offense. Still's been playing quite a bit of minutes there, but doesn't really want to prioritize him. Then you got to match salaries. Jaden Ivey is $10 million, so you still got roughly $30 million left to match. Yeah. You got Bogdanovich in that $20 million. You would think
he'd probably be in there. Yeah.
You think they throw him in there because Zach does need shots. He is a shooter for them. Okay, so that gets you $30 million basically. You still got another $10 to $12 million you got to match in that. And don't talk to me about James Wiseman.
No. Well, I think those are the throw-in pieces, right? Like that. At that point, you are throwing in guys just to match salary. Doesn't mean Wiseman plays.
Yeah, true. I mean, yeah, that's facts.
I mean, it's not right. Like he's a salary match. Now, what I will say is this: I would like to see if somebody can figure out what the heck happened to him. Like, I don't know if people remember it, but he actually could play in the NBA. Like his first 2 weeks in the league, he actually was playing well, and then the Warriors were like, he don't fit, and just sent him to the G League. Well, he did get hurt in there as well.
Yeah, he got hurt, but I mean, that's the thing. We talking about 2 weeks, bro. Like, I mean, that could have just been a flash in the pan. Like, maybe it was your career. Maybe that he never could play. It was just that he had a nice 2 week span. That was all he had,
bro. He's got the weirdest. I really think he just needs somebody to have him in the right situation because.
I mean, he's still only 22 years old.
He's very young, right? He's very young as well. That's why I think the Bulls would also want. But like, it just don't make sense that he's not talented. Like, if I'm not mistaken, he can shoot the three ball pretty well too, can't he? Like,
he averages 27% from three for his career.
Ugh, never mind.
James Wiseman, I mean, like I said, and I say the same thing about our players, so I got to maintain it here. 22 years old, there's still a lot, but that ceiling comes down every single year. At some point, you just got to realize that maybe James Wiseman is just going to be a rebounder that can get you some putbacks, bro, because these numbers are atrocious for James Wiseman. Bro.
James Wiseman is only averaging 1 3-point attempt a game too, which is tough because how you shooting 27% on 1 3-point a game? I mean, you go.
This man as a center in the NBA, he has a negative rebounding rate, bro. I don't know if he can play.
Hey, bro,
you know how hard you got to work to get a negative rebounding rate?
Hey, bro,
that's crazy.
What Marvin Bagley got going on? I might see what's good with him, bro. He was a number 2 overall pick, bro. They took him over Luka, bro. They took him over Luka because of family beef, bro. He said, I don't fool with your pops back in the old country. So I'm not taking you. You could have still took Trey. Took Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, I'd rather Marvin Bagley than James Wiseman, but hey.
I don't know. That's kind of the same dude.
Exactly. They're not that far off.
It's kind of
the
same
now,
dude. Man.
Marvin Bagley does have multiple seasons averaging double-digit points per game, but
I think the thing is, right, I'm fine with the reclamation project or the hey, Marvin Bagley only 24. Yo, that feels like he's been that's crazy. I'm fine with the reclamation project or the try to revitalize your career in a new place project if it's a throw-in piece monetarily to try and match salaries. So I wouldn't mind a Bagley, I wouldn't mind a Wiseman, whoever it is, to see them go out there and get a deal done. I'd be in on a deal with the Pistons, even knowing, right, that Monty Williams is probably gonna make Zach better. Yeah, that you're gonna have to see him 4 times a year, so expect 50 4 times a year. Because we're going to now become the team that he basically turns on and just be like, yeah, I'm going to drop 50 on y'all every time I see y'all. Like, that's what, I mean, get ready, boys. Like, that's not going to happen.
But I feel confident that's never going to happen. But
hey, you probably said that about Bobby Portis when he left.
No, I didn't. I actually was pissed Bobby Portis.
Bobby Portis left. Every time I see y'all 25 and 10.
I thought that was one of the biggest mistakes that the Bulls made was trading Bobby Portis. But next up, we're going to be talking about Coby White getting votes for Player of the Week. Before we get into that, I got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is FanDuel. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers Stay Hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. And right now, 2 specific games I'm looking at on FanDuel. You got the Milwaukee Bucks giving up 5 points to the New York Knicks. I think that's going to be an easy dub for the Bucks. So make sure you guys go and pick that one up to cover. Even though they do have the reigning Player of the Week in Julius Randle, who won that. I can't believe he won Player of the Week. So there you guys go on that. If you the app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get ready with the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
I ain't gonna lie. I know we don't like him, but he actually been hooping.
Oh, he hooped. Don't get me wrong. He hooped. But we all know it's literally
he deserved Player of the Week, bro.
No, he deserved it.
I forgot he got 25 and 20 versus the Hornets.
But after February, that's not happening no more.
Well, listen, we know he's going to the left. It's the greatest call out by Ringo of all time. It's one of my favorite podcasts.
That's hilarious. But we got to celebrate one of our own players. Coby White gets nominated for Player of the Week. And the reason why I did want to talk about this and break this off to its own topic, because I know right now Kobe's kind of the hot topic right now around Chicago Bulls, but it's all legitimate. His play lately has just been shooting the ball better than almost anybody else. There's only 2 players shooting the ball better than him in the NBA as total. That's Steph Curry and Tyrese Halliburton. Other than that, it's him. He's put himself in that category with this play, coming off a 31-point output against the Pelicans, and then 23 points against the Milwaukee Bucks, and 19 points against the Boston Celtics, having multiple assists in both those games, steals, blocks, whatever. Coby White has been shooting the ball 50% from 3-point range basically over that time. How do you feel about Coby White earning that Player of the Week nomination?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you said, right? He's put himself in a category with guys who are tops in the NBA right now, at least this week, right? Let's see if it continues. But on 60-plus three-pointers made, he's shooting 40% this season. That puts him very much in the category, like you said, Steph Curry, Tyrese Halliburton, and Jalen Brunson. Those are 3 names that we would love to have Coby White associated with all season long. So I think that he absolutely deserves the nominations. Not surprised that he didn't win it. I wasn't expecting him to win it. I forgot about the 2020 game, but Julius Randle has actually been hooping. That will probably stop tonight. Yeah, there's a little bit of pressure on some of these play-in games, and as soon as pressure comes around, Julius Randle ain't gonna be there. But I just feel like with how Kobe's played, with what we're seeing now, if he can continue to replicate this. And I think just right, like even with the next topic we're going to have about Zach LaVine possibly returning, taking a leadership role and not giving you shots back.
Yeah.
I mean, like taking that leadership role now, that goes a lot into coaching and different things like that. That could create its own tiff, which would be very interesting to talk about. But just taking on that leadership role and saying, no, this is my time to shine. This is my time to become, whatever the next level of Coby White is. And I'm not going to let anybody take that away from me. And I think that what's best for the team right now is to keep that mindset of everybody getting shots up and not just going back to Zach DeMar, sometimes Vooch, you know what I mean? And seeing what Coby White was able to do over this last week and how, I got to give him credit, how he put not only himself in a great position, of course, shooting the basketball, but put his teammates in really, really good positions. Because the second, right, where people started to collapse on him, it wasn't like he was like, I'm going to find a way to get this shot off. He was like, I'm going to find a way to find the open man. And we saw that a ton this week as well. So big shout out to Coby White. Big kudos to him, man. He's been balling. Let's keep it up.
Yeah, definitely. I love the way that Coby's been playing. He's been playing amazingly, and I love the point that you brought out. Once Zach does come back, don't give it up. Like keep going. Like he's growing into a leadership role, a vocal leader out there on the court that, listen, we haven't seen other than Alex Caruso and Pat Bev for a little stretch. We haven't really seen that. In Zach and DeMar to that degree aren't really that all the time. So Coby developing into that on-court leader is good for him. It's good for the future of the team. And I don't want to see him stop that. Now, when it comes down to the shots, whatever that ends up being, him being the point guard, he may give up a couple. But listen, I would love for the mindset, and Billy Donovan as a coach also has to realize this, is Zach LaVine playing better than Coby White this season? And the answer to that is no.
That's crazy. Yeah.
When you're talking about the whole game of basketball, offensively and defensively.
Here's the tough part, right? And the part that's going to suck is for you to get a deal done, he has to get shots. He has to play. Well. He has to take shots, right? And I think this has just been weird, dog. It's just been weird, right? I don't know if he's trying to kill the value so that he can go to the team that he wants and they don't have to give up a ton, right? Like we know there's a lot of times where clutch guys are just trying to get around LeBron. I don't know if that's the case, but like Zach, remember before Zach left, like there would be random games where he would take 15 plus shots. And then there would be other games where he would take 7. So like it's not like Zach LaVine has stood a ton in the way of people getting their shots, but he is still a ball dominant guy, and you have to give him the ball for the opportunity that he might take the shot. I think that we need to have a little bit of a pivot on that with how Coby has been playing, with even how P. Will has been playing and the young guys, and see, more of what we've seen of recent, where it's a everybody eats type of offense. And if we can keep that going, I think that the Bulls, I don't have any grand hopes for this season, but I think they can be competitive.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the end of the day. This, like we said before, this season isn't about wins and losses anymore. Like, I think we've understood that it's about competitive, seeing what you have in some of these guys. The Zach LaVine trade is going to decide a lot of what the second half of the season has right now as well. But I think right now the young guys are showing you that they're ready, and you'd be crazy to kind of move away from them in a meaningful way. I get it. You got to try to rehab Zach's trade value and whatnot. But, at the end of the day, wherever the direction leads this team, I think that they are set up uniquely to be able to take advantage of it either way. So,
yeah, we'll see what they end up doing. I'm glad to see Coby White playing well, though. I think that the Bulls are glad to see it. If anything, right, this is who do we credit this with, right? I feel like we've credited Coby with his own development. Who do we credit this with?
Well, because Coby just gave some credit to Peter Patton, saying that he's helped him work on his shot. He's never had to work, and even saying that he's never had anybody, because he's been such a good shooter and scorer, he's never really had anybody try to, tweak his shot or tell him to work on a shot, and he credited Peter Patton. So, hey,
and that's what I'm saying, right? Like, that's the conversation that we hoped to be having this season, where you're seeing young players develop with the player development staff. That's how you have long-term success. At least now with these couple of games, and I get it, it's a couple of games, but at least with these couple of games, it feels like Ayo Dosunmu's back to being Ayo Dosunmu. It feels like there's development happening there. It feels like Coby White is not only developing as a shooter, but also is developing as somebody who's able to see the floor. it feels like Patrick Williams is developing in just the fact that he cuts.
Yeah.
That's all. He's getting 14 points, 6 of them off cuts. Like, that's all. I've only been saying that for 3 years. They should have hired me. They should have just hired me. I'd have just stood. I wouldn't have done anything. I'd have said, Pat, whenever you hear me yell, cut, I'd have just stood behind the bench, just cut.
But you know what? Had you done that, though, I guarantee you, the moment that you thought, okay, Pat Will understands it now, he's going to start cutting without me saying it, he would have been like, you didn't say it, though.
No. My whole job is just to yell cut. I'm set for the rest of my life.
By just yelling cut?
I'm yelling cut the entire time. Like, that is my only job. Whenever P. Will is just standing in the corner with his hands like this, just looking confused, waiting for a basketball to come that's not coming his way, I'm going to just yell cut. Yeah. Oh, my bad. Hold on. And then he's going to turn into a superstar. That's my job the rest of my life. I'm set.
That's hilarious.
And I'll still do the podcast after. Hey, man, before we get up into this final topic, man, and we will not be dipping our toe into Zach LaVine, but we will talk about Zach LaVine. We do got to talk about this Game Time app. Just there you go, Zach. It's such a weird way to say it, bro. Hey, we got to tell you guys about Gametime, man, where toe dipping is optional. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Gametime is the fast and easy way to get tickets for all your sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer last-minute deals, all in prices, views from your seats, and the best guaranteed price. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. I keep telling y'all about all of these stadiums that have these random ticket spots where you just sit there and for some reason there's a building or a pillar or I remember going to I don't think it was a Sox game. Maybe it was a Brewers game in old Milwaukee Stadium or old Brewers Stadium, whatever it's called. And like there was just like a pillar right in the middle and there was seats behind it. It was crazy. Literally had to lean the whole time to watch the game. Gametime takes the guesswork all out of that, all in prices, total up front. So you know what you're getting, a great deal on without hidden fees. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. All you got to do is download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and apply. Again, that is all you got to do is create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Troubles.
How did we get there? What? Anyway, so Billy Donovan has said that Zach LaVine is much better than where he was a week ago, even a little bit ahead of schedule. So just real quick here, Pat, what do you think that means for Zach LaVine's return? Do you feel like a Zach LaVine return imminent? Like he's getting close. You still think he sits out the whole week? We got 2 kind of easier opponents, so I would expect so. What do you think of that? How do the Bulls need to prepare for Zach LaVine to return to the roster?
I think Zach LaVine hears the conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
He hears what people are saying. He hears what people in 2 games, right? He's like, bro, I sit out for 2 games, and now all of a sudden I'm the only problem on this team. And I think because of that, a lot of teams are looking at that. And the biggest concern around Zach has been the ability to impact winning. There hasn't been a lot of winning here with Zach LaVine on the floor. There hasn't been, I mean, as much as it, like I went back and looked the other day and I was like, every time Zach came back from injury, we did start losing again, kind of.
Yeah, we actually have a winning record without Zach LaVine playing, which is crazy. I did not know that before that stat came out. I was like, wow.
Yeah, there's definitely a negative impact to the Chicago Bulls when Zach LaVine is on the floor. It seems, right? Now, I don't know what the actual cause of that is. Game by game, I don't think that I've looked at Zach LaVine and said he's the reason that we've lost this game. But I think at the end of the day, he hears that, he sees that his management team is in his ear telling him this is what teams around the league are basically thinking of you right now. And if you don't get that value up and get back on the court, you're going to be a Chicago Bull for the foreseeable future because they're not going to just trade Zach for nothing.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
So I think that there's a little bit of, I think this sit down was more, let's see what the young guys have. Now I think this is going to turn into, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get back on the court. He might miss the Charlotte game Wednesday, but I think he's probably back. When's our next game? Friday?
Friday after that.
He's probably back on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's best for him, best for the team. Like you said, and many others have said, at this point, you want Zach LaVine back playing. You want him playing well before you trade him. You don't want to try to trade a player that's sitting out and you're winning while they're out, and then be like, "Hey, so what you got for us?" Well, not much there, guy. So that's where you want to avoid things going. So hopefully he's back healthy. He comes in, he's locked in. I do think that theoretically, like, you got to see it come into practice, but theoretically, the way that the Bulls are playing should benefit Zach LaVine's play style. So that's what you're hoping as well with all of this.
I think that's the weird part, right? Like, there is a part of me, and I've said this multiple times, that wants Zach LaVine to be successful on the Bulls.
Yeah.
Because I know wherever he goes, he's going to have success.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So there is that part of me that's like, listen, like, let's all, I don't have a good way of saying that without getting canceled. Let's all put our issues aside. I was about to go real Southern on that real quick. I had them Southern sayings are not exactly outside of the Southern family friendly. You know what I mean? You gotta be a little careful with some of them joints. I had to think about that. I was like,
a little bit, my guy.
Yeah, I was like, everyone that popped into my brain was not good. But no, let's put our issues to the side. Let's go out here and try and win. And let's not act like, right, this is the first time that a player's requested a trade and then the player ended up sticking around, whatever it is. I wouldn't be surprised if that were a scenario that played. Well, I'd probably be surprised at this point. But I look at Zach LaVine now and say, I would love for you to just fit in with what we just saw. Because the one piece to me that puts you over the top in the scenario you just saw is an elite scorer like Zach LaVine can be when he wants to be.
Agreed.
So
definitely agree with that. Let's hope that's the case, man. I want to see Zach. I want to see this thing work out for everyone. I think that ultimately, at this point, we know we're not avoiding the trade. Zach he's going to be traded. I still see people every once in a while I'll say, well, what do you think if we trade tomorrow and get this? Do you think Zach LaVine will want to stay now that he sees the young guys are good? No, he still wants to go.
It's a Billy Donovan issue.
Yeah,
this is a either pick me or pick the coach issue. And the Bulls are picking the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that the right decision? The last time we did this, we picked Fred Hoiberg over Jimmy Butler.
PTSD.
Yeah. Is this the right decision? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see 3 years down the road. Yeah, I mean,
for
if
sure.
Zach LaVine all of a sudden is competing for championships everywhere he goes.
Before we go, though, did you see these medals for the in-season tournament winners?
I saw like some of the awards.
We'll talk about it on tomorrow's episode. We'll get into it then. We'll break it all down. The only
thing that makes me sad is, once again, like, they can't cost that much. Why do all the awards, like the awards that the NBA doesn't care about, looks better than the WNBA trophy? That's irritating. Every time I see a trophy, bro, I just think back to, like, y'all can't spend $150 on a trophy that looked like something. My fantasy football trophy looked better.
Exactly.
Than the goddamn WNBA trophy. Let's do better, ladies. Come on now. But hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in to Showing Love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Don't spend it all in one place, Zion.
You guys can follow me at CEO Haize. We appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Remember that Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls, and we out, y'all. Peace.
Peace.